You left one email unanswered this morning. Just one, and somehow it followed you into every meeting after. That's strange, isn't it? A finished task disappears from your mind almost instantly, but an unfinished one lingers. It taps on the inside of your skull all day long. Why does your brain treat an open loop like an emergency? Picture a waiter in a busy restaurant. He's holding a dozen orders in his head at once, effortlessly, accurately, table after table. Then, the food goes out. The order is complete. Ask him 10 minutes later what table 6 ordered, and he draws a blank. Not because he's careless, because his brain already let it go. This wasn't a guess, it was an actual observation. A psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik noticed it happening in a Vienna cafe in the 1920s, and she brought it into the lab to test it properly. She gave people a series of small tasks, puzzles, simple assembly problems, that kind of thing. Some tasks she let them finish. Others she interrupted midway, for no reason the participant could see. Later, she asked everyone to recall what they'd worked on. The unfinished tasks won. Not by a little. People remembered interrupted tasks roughly twice as often as completed ones. Here's the mechanism. Your brain isn't built to store information the way a filing cabinet does. It's built to track goals. A completed task closes a loop, and once it's closed, your mind files it away and moves on. An incomplete task keeps a small process running in the background, quietly using up attention, the same way a browser tab you forgot to close keeps eating memory even when you're not looking at it. This is called the Zeigarnik effect, and once you know the name, you start noticing it everywhere. Think about why a cliffhanger works. The show doesn't answer the question. It ends right as the tension peaks, and your brain, unable to close that loop, keeps replaying it. Television writers have known this for decades without needing the psychology term for it. Streaming platforms are built entirely around this instinct. One unfinished episode becomes 3. Researchers later expanded on Zeigarnik's original work. Kenneth McGraw and Fiala ran a version of the task interruption study and found something almost unsettling. Even when participants were offered a reward to stop working and walk away, many kept going anyway, unable to leave the puzzle unsolved. The pull of an open loop outweighed the incentive to quit. And here's where it turns from an odd quirk into something with roots much deeper than trivia. Roy Baumeister and E.J. Masacampo proposed that this isn't really about memory at all. It's about goals. Your mind doesn't relax around an unmet goal, even a tiny, meaningless one, until it has either been completed or deliberately set aside with a plan. That's why simply writing down tomorrow's to-do list, even without doing anything on it, measurably reduces that nagging static in your head. The brain doesn't need the task done. It needs to believe the task is handled. Now here's where it gets stranger. This effect can be used against you, and it usually is. Notice how a game shows you're 87% through a level, then abruptly refuses to save your progress unless you keep playing, or pay. Notice how a form makes you watch a progress bar creep toward completion before asking for your card details. That bar isn't decoration. It's a hook, deliberately built from the same open-loop tension Zeigarnik documented a century ago. Even your to-do list is quietly running this trick on you. The reason a long, half-finished list feels heavier than a short one has nothing to do with the actual work left. It's the sheer number of open loops competing for space in your head at once. Social media runs on the same wiring. A notification badge doesn't tell you what's inside it. It just tells you something is unresolved, and that's enough to pull your thumb toward the screen before you've even decided to check. The message itself is almost beside the point. It's the open loop that gets you to tap. So here's the practical version. When something's looping in your mind uninvited, you don't need to finish it right now. You need to give it somewhere to land. Write it down. Make even a rough plan for when you'll deal with it. Research suggests that step alone, planning rather than completing, is often enough to quiet the loop. That email from this morning? It's still open, but now you understand why it never really left you alone. If your mind has been holding on to something today, something small, unfinished,
quietly humming in the background. You already know the fix. Write it down, then let it go. If this helped you notice your own open loops, subscribe for more of